Hello, and God be with you. Well, another week's gone by, and everybody in our house is still doing pretty well. We're getting somewhat hairier. I hope you are too. I hope you're all keeping your spirits up, and I especially hope that you've managed to so far avoid catching the virus. Well, let's have a look at what this week's story from the Open the Book is all about. It's another story taken from the Old Testament, from a book written by a man called Daniel, and he's one of the characters in today's story. I know that our school encourages healthy eating. Healthy eating means having a balanced diet. Do you like vegetables and fruit? Those foods are very healthy and good for you, and so we are encouraged to eat them. In today's story, 4 boys asked to eat vegetables and refused to eat some food that was specially prepared for them. Did they get into trouble? Let's find out as we open the book and read The Boys Who Like to Say No. God was very sad. Most of his people had stopped listening to him and in talking to him and following his rules. Change your ways, God warned them, or you will have to leave this special land I gave you long ago. But the people would not listen. So God let their enemies defeat them and destroy their cities and carry them hundreds of miles away to be slaves in the land of Babylon. There were, however, a few of God's people who did not forget him, and among them were 4 young friends, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These boys were clever and strong. So Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, decided to treat them well. He gave them soft beds, rich food, and an education at his very best school, all in the hope that they would forget about the land they'd left. But Nebuchadnezzar hadn't reckoned on them being the boys who like to say no. King Nebuchadnezzar's chief servant was put in charge of turning these boys into good Babylonians. For dinner tonight, he announced, you will have the following choices from the king's own menu. Pink pork sausages, plump pork chops, and perfect pork pies. Oh, the king's food looked good. But Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego knew it was made from something that God's rules said they should not eat. The rules that they had learned in their own land, the rules their God had given them, the rules and the land and the God they had promised never to forget. So they turned to the king's servant and together they said, no. The servant could not believe it. No pink pork sausages? He asked. No, said Shadrach, but I wouldn't mind a few carrots. No plump pork chops? No, said Meshach. I'll just have a green salad. And not even one perfect pork pie? No, said Abednego, but some beans would be lovely. The king will be very angry, the servant explained. If you do not eat this food, you will grow tired and ill, and then the king will punish me. Won't you change your mind, please? No, said Daniel, but you will not get into trouble, for we will not grow tired and ill. Tell the king that we wish to have a contest. For 10 days, the 4 of us will eat nothing but vegetables and water. The other boys in the palace can eat your food, and then we shall see who is well and who is not. The servant agreed, and so did the king. And for 10 days, the boys who liked to say no said no to everything but vegetables and water, while the other boys ate their fill of the king's food. What happened? The God who Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would not forget, did not forget them. At the end of the contest, the boys who liked to say no looked healthy and strong, much healthier and stronger than the other boys, in fact. So from then on, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were allowed to eat whatever they liked, all because they were loyal to their God, and because they were the boys who liked to say no. So today's story is about 4 boys who loved God and wanted to do what was right. In this case, the right thing to do was say no. The 4 boys wanted to follow God's rules. For them, his rules about food were important. Even today, some people feel that God wants them to not eat certain types of food. For other people, there might be important rules about what to wear or how to behave. Close your eyes and think about any rules you think God might want you to follow. Now I'm going to say a prayer. And if you want to make it your prayer, say Amen at the end. Dear God, it was hard for the boys to follow your rules, especially when they were told that they shouldn't. Help us to choose the right rules to live by. Amen. So yes, today's story was about following rules. We all know this. Today's story was about rules to do with food and what we could eat. Sometimes it's rules about what we should wear or not wear. And there are other rules that we know that we should live by. And it's about saying no when other people try to get us to do those things or to break those rules. So I hope God will stay with you for this next week. Next week's story is another story about 3 of those characters, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and we'll see what happens to them then. God bless you and keep safe.